round 2 for the month of October. I am Michael Perry, and I am pleased to be joined by International Master Nubair.
Thank you, Michael.
Our player profile for this week is National Master John Hayer. He has a peak rating of 2212, and his best wins include Vadim Rubinchik, James Hove, Muhammad Tabaruk, and Nathan Hoover. So pleased to be covering John tonight. I believe this is his first month playing in quite a while, but it's definitely good to see him back at the club playing Thursday nighter this month. And the only other announcement I would touch on is, just in case people are interested, our weekend event at the club is the Action Swiss. It's 6 rounds of game 25 plus 10. So you're basically getting a double Monday quad in one day. So you can definitely check that out. The TD for that tournament is Joshua Rajadabari. And you can see the flyer there just on the Chess Castle, Minnesota if you go to the homepage. And the first round, as always, starts at 10. With that, I think I'll hand it over to Nubair for John's game.
Thank you so much. So let's start with his game. So today he's playing against Norman Myring. Started with e4, the king pawn opening. And very soon we see an Italian game. But suddenly black has a surprise here. Instead of normal knight f6 or bishop c5, black goes bishop e7, knight c3, knight f6, and now black simply wants to go castle for knight g5. He doesn't want to land into something like d5 lines where we sacrifice a pawn and go into theoretical battles. So castles, and d4. d6, not going into any complicated with lines with e4, knight d4, and then d6 will allow double of pawns. So just maintaining the center. Probably now d5 is a move here, and they just usually go back and try to come like this. So h3, preventing any kind of bishop g4 idea here, prophylaxis. h6 probably was not necessary in my opinion, but if you're planning rook e8 at some point, okay, maybe it's useful move, because otherwise knight g5 would be annoying. So rook e1.
Question for you, Nubair. If I'm not too familiar with this opening, if white does end up going d5, can black eventually try to push f5? Is that ever an idea?
I'm not sure, because like first of all, this line is a little bit of passive in nature, and okay, so what we can compare this with? So usually, there's a line called Breyer, and they try to go bishop f8, g6, and bishop g7. So what is the one attempt black could do here? Because this bishop is having absolutely no active play. Knight a5 buys nothing. This would be weakening every time. There is no counterfeit for black. So I don't know what black exactly is going to do in this line. Okay, in the game he played a6 and something like b5, but again it could be stopped with a4 or something like that. So maybe black has to go and play slowly. f4 would be difficult to get as long as the bishop is here. So I don't think that, king h8 and black has this much time to get f5.
Got it.
So bishop e3, probably simply 22 rook d1. White is planning here. b5, and okay, now black has something to play for. Bishop b7, and now we can even jump knight b4, knight a5 at times. So definitely allowing this was not a good idea, and this gives black some counterplay or some way going forward. I think there's a knight d5 coming here, and this needs to be played instantly. But white plays little passively, not trying to go for the bishop instantly. This gives black chance to play knight g5 and probably trade off the bishop later on. So he captures, goes c5, and now we can see the black is having some space advantage. I'm not sure about c4. Maybe black can just simply play bishop to b7 or bishop to g5, and in case of f4, there's a bishop h4. Again, a bit annoying if you go rook b2 blundering c4 and you lose the game. If you go back to f1, then we are not served the purpose for rook e1. So probably a bit premature to play c4.
Yeah.
Still, I think black is slightly preferable. Knight g5, bishop g5 is coming. He goes knight d5 finally. That's not a good thing. I mean, we need to wait a bit, maybe just try to play bishop g5. I know this could be annoying at times, but and that is why I didn't like the c4, and that's why probably he was forced to take there. Again, queen d5 would have been better choice, simply going rook d1 next or b3 ideas. This gives black liberty to just play bishop here and knight f6. And this cannot be targeted. That's the whole point. This was a weakness back then, and now the d6 weakness is no longer a weakness, so black is completely fine. Again, c3 would have been preferred, but bishop d4 was played, and now once the bishops are traded, black is no worse at all. Even he puts queen on queen. So far, solid game for both the players. b3 needs to be played as soon as possible, otherwise black might even get better. Right now it's equal in my opinion. Also with same timings on the clock. Finally b3 comes in. So two options probably. Even this looks interesting. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely equal here. I don't see really a way for either side to press and take advantage. There's really no weaknesses. White's pawn on d5 looks just a little soft, but White's defending it twice, so it should always be safe.
Yeah, so probably he's going for takes and rook c7 and eyeing something like rook c3 or rook c5 at some point. So I think if anyone has a chance, it's white, but it's close to none because there's a4 as well, and you just trade pawns and should be equal, around equal. And also with equal time on the clock, I think makes the game completely balanced.
Yeah.
So maybe let's have a look at Dane Zager versus Connor Wetherly on board 2. So it was d4, queen's pawn opening. And then we have Nimzo Indian probably. No, it's Queen's Gambit. Bishop g5, bishop e7, c5. Not really recommended. You need to castle first. Now white can even take or take here first. D takes c5, queen f5. Probably the right order is c takes d5, c takes d4, queen takes d4. Probably like this, right? Because in this, if you now take, you can just take, and knight c6 we can play bishop b5. And okay, right now we have even this move or just capture back, and now queen f5. The difference is the pawns are already removed, and there is no knight d5 options available in case of the c d5. So what? And probably something like rook c1 is simply good here. The whole point is for queen c5 we are going knight d5, and c8 would be hanging in this case.
Yeah, I just remember being taught that, and I don't know if it applies here, but because I play the Tartakova against the queen's pawn opening, and but naturally I castle first and then play b6 and then eventually c5. So this is definitely an early c5. And what I was taught was if they play b6 too early, then you can play bishop b5 check. So I don't know if it applies here as well. So maybe we should just play c takes d5 and then play bishop b5. I don't know.
Yeah, but in case of a b6, the problem is the c6 is weak here. That's not the case. So maybe black can just be okay with knight c6.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, we have to take on c5 because like there's a pin here and the bishop just moved on the last move. So that will make black to make the same piece move twice. which will break the opening principle. So probably CD5 and DC5, because DC5 I think corner has some ideas with Queen F5, and but even this I was not sure. Like if it takes Bishop E7, Knight D2, there's a Queen Knight C3, there's a Queen D2, and I like White, so probably it transposes. It's not a big deal. Like CD5, he has to anyway play ED5, and now Rook C1 or something. He goes Bishop B5 to defend the pawn, but what about Bishop D7? Like he captures, and just try to play. I'm not sure about this. Yeah. So Bishop D7. He has Queen F4. So he's going completely wild here. So takes is the plan. And Bishop A4, he wants to defend the pawn in this fashion. Pretty impressive. Something new. So we can see, like after playing against Nakamura, Dane has got some ideas. Some weirdo ideas which works. So Queen A4, Bishop 4, and the whole point is if you capture on C5, then the structure is damaged. And yeah, if it works. Knight A6, just now capture on D1 probably, and the D5 would be weak. Yeah, that's all. So King C6 or something. I don't know. King E6, Knight F3. Yeah, Knight Bishop C5. I mean, you can just capture on F6, and then the D5 hangs, and he's up a pawn already. So clearly winning advantage here with this double pawns. G3, Rook C8, probably just move the king. Because Knight D4, or even something like Rook D1. I was wondering if we could do that. And Bishop B4, we have got Knight D4. King goes back, then we have got Knight B5 or Knight F5. Both looks, I mean, fantastic to me at least. And the king is struggling a bit there. Okay, but he went Knight G4 directly. He just wanted to collect the bishop, perhaps. No, he goes King E7. It takes lots of guts to play a move like this, with Knight F5 check coming in. Come on. You cannot transfer your knight from F3 to C2 to just defend this. Probably he was scared of Rook D1, Knight B4, and Knight F5, King E6, and not finding anything concrete here because pieces are under attack, and maybe he has to repeat once and probably go Rook H5 or something. This is clearly a target, but there's a Knight A2 here, and for Knight A2, some Bishop takes D4. Or it's also possible to start with Bishop D4, forcing you capture here. Knight A2, King C2, and probably capture, and some drawing chances in this endgame. So he just played prophylactically Knight C2. It's important to note that after Knight B4, we don't have Rook C5 as there's a fork. Knight B4 is still possible and was not played. So actually, Knight B4 was not prevented. That's what I wanted to make a point here. So in case of a Knight B4, we simply play Rook C5, but then we have a fork. In case of a Rook C5, okay, we capture back, but currently it's working for black. So I think he could have gone for Knight B4 here, putting some pressure and eventually transferring the bishop to B4. Rook C7, and now okay, Rook D1 anyways, Rook C8. And now I'm just wondering what to do if I just press A3. You prepared all this to get Knight B4 or Bishop to B4, and now nothing is happening. Like Bishop A3, Knight A3, and that's all.
Yeah. Does A3 maybe create a little bit of a, maybe you'd call it like a hook if black ever wants to play B5, B4?
Yeah, that's why he plays King B1. And now the same point is like Knight B4 can be made with Rook C5, and there's no check. So
yeah,
this also
I like
works.
King B1.
Yeah, and now I think White is completely fine and ready to attack the second weakness or the second pawn. He goes for Rook, he goes Rook H5, Rook H8, Knight E4 probably, Knight B5, Knight D4, and so King E7, Knight F5, King G6, Knight G7 check, King E7. So still nothing much. So finally he plays A3 because that's what's necessary to kill this knight completely. Bishop B6, and now this will allow something like this, or I don't know, like king e7 and maybe not 96 yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
some tactics.
It's annoyingly hard to make progress.
Yeah, so he collects the bishop. Oh wow, he plays king d5. I mean, Conrad doesn't want to give bishop. He's like, okay, I'm coming for you.
Hmm.
King d5. I mean, that's too bold. I mean, the point is you move the knight anywhere. He just goes king c6 and probably now he can collect the knight for sure. Like knight d4 is coming and it's a mate, so you have to capture.
Yeah, I almost just like because whenever we move the knight, he probably just wants to go back to e6. Maybe can we
e6. Yeah,
play
yeah, yeah.
maybe just f3? I don't know.
Or I think this should be also good enough. Like I don't believe this king is escaping. After coming here, there's just no way. So I was calculating this rook e1, king e7, knight here. And the point is, okay, there's one beautiful mate here. Like, if you go like this, it's a mate
Hmm.
in the middle of the board.
Yeah.
And so he must capture. And okay, after this, I was looking at this, and at least we can collect the rook,
Yep.
what I found. But there might be better moves available. Or even here, like the king is cut off now, like this. So if knight d6, I didn't find a mate in this, so I'm not playing that. He just goes here. And again, okay, we could win exchange. There are many ways in which you can at least win an exchange or something. Like knight d6, take an f3, and you just force him to go here or there, and you grab the rook. So probably e4 wins on the spot, and that's what he's calculating. Or maybe he's looking for something even better. Because like when he moves the knight, e6 and c6 are not available for the king. Which also makes sense to look at something like knight e7, king d6, and something like knight c6, but then he goes there.
I think Dane might find e4 too. He still has 30 minutes, so I think there's a decent chance he finds it.
Yeah, and also the move you said is not bad, like f3, and then we have got this, but probably he will capture in that case. I know he doesn't like to capture this, but I was just wondering what happens if we play simply knight to. Okay, goes knight b5. Okay, come on. Is this third time repetition? Hold on. Wait a
Hopefully
sec.
not for Dane's sake.
We're going to have some drama here. So wait a sec. So this is the first position where he plays bishop d6. Okay, but knight is not here. Okay. So knight f5, king is. This could be a first position. Okay. So position number 1 on move number 25. And this for the second time. So not yet. Okay, so the pawn was on a2, so he played a3, 1 and 2. Okay. Now if he gives any of the check, okay, it could be a draw.
Yeah.
No, wait, he cannot. No, wait. He's giving a check again. What's going on? I mean, so this knight was here and he goes there. Then he brings this one. Okay. No, still it's not done. Yeah, now knight b5 is forbidden for sure.
Yeah. So
So
it
he
kind
has
of
to
forces
play,
him all the more to play one of our moves. Yeah.
so he has to play f3 or e4. Or at least this knight going somewhere. And not here, I mean. Anywhere but not there.
A move I didn't even look at, but and I'm sure it's not the best move, but maybe you could even just play rook h6.
Yeah, I mean you have got so many good moves in this position. This would be a serious weakness. It cannot be defended. Like so, there are many moves. I mean, maybe he's just having fun there, and maybe he knows what he's doing. You know,
Yeah.
just looking out there. What else? Any other fantasy variation where you could show to the audience?
I don't think so. I think e4 is the main move.
Maybe this is also an option, right? E4 is of course an option. And in this, the point was like, I wanted to somehow work out this idea. Like I move the knight and capture and then capture, but then that will just give me a pawn. So not really happy doing that. But somehow I want to work out this tactic if I could. But then the knight comes for rescue. So one of the lines could be, okay, I know there's a king e6 here or king e7, but in this also the knight comes to rescue or bishop comes here and the knight would be hanging.
And
So
actually, in that line, we just we have rook d6 mate.
yeah, you're right. So that's what I was looking for, the fantasy variation. So knight s6, king d6, knight f7, rook f7, and this. So he cannot go here, it's mate. So he must go back. And yeah, it's nothing probably.
Yeah.
So he's thinking probably e4, we'll see.
I guess we could briefly look at Jordan and Nathan's game, but they had a DGT error.
So let's review the opening. It was again a king's pawn opening, but this time Spanish instead of Italian game. So knight f6, castles, b5, and okay, we are having theoretical battle here. So for the audience, knight e4 is a blunder, guys. Bishop d5 lands, and you blunder a piece. And bishop d7, bishop e3 is typical again. And again, the point is after knight e4, there's a d5, and the knight has to be moved, and you take the bishop, and the knight hangs again. And if you capture the bishop, then knight hangs either way. So that doesn't work. And that is why they play bishop e3 followed by knight d2, and the game goes on. But today we can only show you this much, as there's some digital error on the board 1. So probably when Jane will finish his game, we'll probably change something there. But looks like he has played b4 out of nowhere. So he's just saying that, okay, this king is stuck here, and I don't have to, really find something. For bishop d4, he's putting like something like this ideas and trying to win some material there. But I'm still wondering what he's gonna do for this. Probably wants to play some rook e4 and cook there, cook something nice. So what's happening? Takes king e6. So knight g7, king e7 buys me nothing. So probably I go here, and now this. And now if this could, and if this is checkmating, that would be really, really nice. But I don't see it again, how it's gonna happen exactly. So f3 threatening knight e7 mate. Not really mate, but some progress. And king c6, we have got b5, king b5, and still there is no mate. Wow. Knight e7, king d6, knight d5, king c6, rook c4, king d6. It's funny that this king escapes every single time. So the fun fact is the chances of survival of this king is actually more than white checkmating the king, if you go probability wise. And now even if you place king c4, I don't know what's happening. Like, we might see some funny line, and king's coming to b3.
Yeah, I bet. Knowing how Connor's played this game, I bet he'll go king c4.
King c4, rook here, king d3, and you don't know what to do. Your rook is very nice there, attacking these guys, but then suddenly king joins the party, and you don't know what's really happening there.
Yeah, e4, missing e4 was definitely a miss.
And this was completely unnecessary. Even if you don't find e4, okay, play f3 and just prepare the attack slowly.
Yeah.
But instead he goes b4, and he wants to make him pay for blinking d5 with the b5 idea. And king c4, can he play knight d6 or something? Rook d6 and just trying to bring the king and do something like this at some point.
And maybe they can always stack on b4.
Maybe you can start with king c2. And now
Yeah,
the
if
rook
we
d6.
start, yeah.
Yeah, and And okay, you can sacrifice on b4. Let's say you can start with rook c8 or something. You got rook d3, and now probably it's the time. But okay, it's anyway losing position for black, so he has to try something, and why not to put money on king c4? All right, let's have a look at the game between um, AD versus John Blummer, which has finished so quickly. AD winning it so early in the opening. Let's see what happens. So another Roy Lopez here, no Berlin, 97. What kind of move is this?
No idea.
So the trap. I got the point. So there's a trap here. So take engine
Oh,
b5 c6, and you have got queen f5 25.
tricky.
So today I learned something new in Spanish. I mean, I'm looking at this opening since ages, but never this idea came to my mind. So John teaches me something new today. C6, and again the trap is very simple, guys. So don't fall for it again, okay? That's it. Yeah, now you are threatening 95, but now d5. Probably d5 loses a pawn because capture captures, and now bishop b5 is a check. And when there's a check, you lose pawn. So knight g6, h4. So edit things and goes for h4, h5. He has got no chill there. h5 definitely weakens the position. Knight g5, d5, and now I think this will land into knight d5, knight f7 ideas. Oops. Oh no. So knight f7 is really too much, giving up so much material. So he goes queen f3. But then I saw bishop b6. And then what exactly is doing? He's going bishop b5 or something. Then there's still bishop d7, and the point is queen d5, queen f5 check, bishop d2, queen b5, queen f7, king d8, and you can capture on g6. So it works.
Yeah, there's even mate
Yes.
on f7 in that line.
Yeah. What about the knight f4 idea here? Just capture probably, yeah. So bishop e6, and he goes knight e6, f6. So right now, white is down a piece, and he has found this, and this. Sounds good. Then he'll go back. Then you capture on b7, and it's a GG. Everything is forced. You cannot do much.
Oh,
Probably this was missed by John, and now king d6 is also forced. And now queen c6 or what? Just bishop d2.
ooh, nice move.
Yeah, and in case of a5, c4 was played, threatening c5, and then queen c6. Oops. So this needs to be prevented by playing rook c8 or something, but rook c8. Yeah, I don't see any other option. He has to play rook c8, right? He cannot move the queen, the rook hangs. Knight d7 simply lands into bishop d7 at least. So I think the only move is a rook c8. And wait a second. Was he having 1 hour 34 minutes in this position?
Yeah, John's very fast player.
I mean, you can't be fast, after allowing knight f7 and having this king
Yeah,
center party.
yeah.
I'm no 80 plus slow, and you could take advantage of his clock or the time, but I mean, you are already pissed up. You don't need to be extra much up. You just need to take care of your king here. And if you allow c5, then he didn't play c5. That's also surprising. Like, why don't you play this move? He just played bishop e3, and what? He completely forgot about this move. And if you wanted to play bishop e3, fine. I would have gone rook c1 or something with the idea of c5, but this is completely shocking. Like, he's allowing c5 and rook d1 check as well. What's the point? I mean, playing this game like so fast and having 1 after damage at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
It's just terrible. I mean, he's playing e4. The c5 check is coming. He's not even trying to prevent it. Like I cannot think of any other move. Maybe b4 is coming, and then c5 would be coming at the end. But you need to defend c5. I mean, you cannot, or you can go to play queen c8 or something. Just pray, like it's like rook c8. That's a b4, and you play queen c7, and you may escape. If you're lucky.
Yeah, no, he's not out of the woods completely.
Yeah. So completely out of shape or bad day for John here. So, and I think a good point for AD here to win it in like 15-20 moves.
Yeah,
Let's move to the next board.
good attacking game from Eddie. He took advantage of John's kind of dubious opening and punished him.
Yeah. So finally we have some Sicilian over here, but the dragon type or the accelerated dragon going into, let's see whether it remains in Sicilian or goes into King's Indian. So yeah, it remains in Sicilian. This is pretty much known stuff. Bishop c3, always a controversial move. You give your key important bishop, damage the pawn structure, but with knight on e6, I think it's completely playable. Queen c7, rook to b1, rook to c8. Yeah, it's difficult for white to find some plan. Okay, you can play this move, but then after rook d8, I don't know what to do next, or after d6, what white would be doing. Black has one simple plan: just go here, attack this pawn, have some fun. Oh wow, why he captures this? I mean, just play bishop f6. What's happening there?
Yeah,
And you just probably make double or triple, on the c file and win this juicy pawn. Like, there's just no need to capture this. You can do it anytime.
yeah, yeah. No, just bishop a6 looks nice. Or yeah,
Probably rook b4 is forced, and then you just probably move the queen and just try to make double or triplet. And life is good.
yeah,
Knight d4, definitely not a correct move here. Captures f6. Completely unnecessary. Now he finds bishop a6, then allows e5, rook d8, and f4. So I like this. At least white has played king h2 and now going for all-out attack on e5. Black is not worried about it. Bishop g4 misses. And now probably something will be there, like to capture or just move the queen. He just goes bishop e6, trying probably to put bishop here or play f5. And bishop is comes back in time or not. So takes bishop e6, take, and it's fine probably.
yeah.
Also, there's some kind of a d5, maybe not yet, because captures is still working for black, I guess. So I think black is still in the game somehow.
Yeah. Even with c4, d4, e4, f4.
Yeah. And even after black playing bishop knight d4, weakening all this for no reason, misplacing the pieces for no reason as well.
Yeah, this something interesting that we haven't mentioned before on stream, but Thomas Babcock was actually our first ever chess castle champion. So the chess castle was founded in 1979, And I was looking just the other day at the history of who's won the Chess Castle trophy over each year, and Thomas was the first one to ever win it. So just kind of a cool fact.
That's great to know. So we have our first winner playing against some latest talented youngsters coming in and playing. By the way, who has won it the maximum times so far? Any idea?
That's a good question. I know Sean Nagel, an international master, has won it a ton. Um, Andrew Tang has won it a couple times.
Uh-huh.
I think I want to say Ed Zelkind. He doesn't play anymore, but he was more of an old timer who was a good player. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So we can find all this information on the club website.
Yeah, if you go to for our viewers, if you go to the Chess Castle Minnesota website, and then you go to the more and where there's the arrow, if you just scroll down and you can see where it says Club Champions.
Uh-huh. That's nice. That's great to know.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So that thinking, and we have another live vote going on, vote 5, where we were discussing about this end game, where white black was slightly better. He plays rook d3, prevents rook c3 and stuff. Rook d3, king e2, check, and now probably something like rook a2 will be annoying, or rook p2 or something. And b4, the point is to capture and then go here, or you can even play a4 like most. And is thinking. Just give me a moment, I'll be back.
Yeah, no worries. So it looks like in this game here, John Hayer, our featured player versus Norm Myron. It looks like we're still heading towards a draw, kind of like what me and New Bear were thinking earlier. But Norm has definitely made some progress in this game. Yeah, no, that's what I thought John would play b4, trying to protect his a3 pawn. So now what I'm expecting is probably, yeah, takes b4, and maybe just rook b2. And then John will be forced to play rook d4, protecting his pawn. And yeah, it should still be a draw, but Norm has definitely made some improvements. His rook is way more active than John's rook. And time is still about equal. John has 5 minutes less. Um, but yeah, definitely slight improvements made by Norman both on and off the board. I mean, they say in endgames when you have the bishop, the bishop's helpful when there's pawns on both sides of the board, and there's pawns on both sides of the board right now, so you might think the bishop is better. But there's definitely a case to be made that the knight is actually better in this endgame because you can reroute it to d7 to e5, and white's pawn on d5 is kind of blocking in white's bishop on f3. So um, I might even rather have the knight in this endgame than the bishop. So John played sorry, not John. Norm played rook b2 like I thought he would. And now I think rook d4 is just forced. So yeah, John should play this quickly, not lose any more time.
Yeah, I mean, time is really, really crucial here. He needs to maintain time, otherwise, you know, he has to defend, like he has to play passively. So, or one thing he could be doing here is, getting ahead on clock, or at least not behind on clock. Otherwise, it will get difficult. He needs to play this instantly.
Yeah,
Okay, until John decides what he wants to do, let's have a quick look at game between David versus Robert, which ends in Robert's victory, and let's entertain our audience. So it was knight f3, f5, a Dutch, d3. I hope we don't see e4 here. Okay, b3, c5, bishop b2, and is he going to play d4? No, not yet. Knight c6, g3, and probably now d4 and e5 simply gives wow, 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 wow. So no d4, e5, guys. This is how normal people play. But if you're watching Robert, he goes h5. So we have f5, then d5, and then h5. And this can be called as Robert's opening. h4, bishop e6. Now we cannot explain such kind of moves, guys. There's just no way.
Yeah, and h4. I don't like h4, but
And he okay, the guys, the idea is very simple. If you're thinking bishop d2 is a good move, no, h4, knight h4, and then rook h4 lands. So don't even think about allowing h4 against Robert. We just play h4 and
no, yeah.
h5.
Normally you would just play bishop g2, but against Robert, might as well play h4.
So rook h6, this is how the rook gets developed, guys. This is the normal way how the rook gets developed. And for normal people, it's like rook c8, rook d8. With Robert, that's the way. I wouldn't be surprised to see a5 or rook a6 as well.
As long as he doesn't blunder knight f6. Okay, he didn't.
Yeah, life is good, yeah. So he makes sure he doesn't blunder knight e6. And now probably he's planning to save the bishop. Yeah, finally. One move I could guess, finally. And I was waiting for this moment for like so long. I'm commemorating like almost a year now. Finally, I'm able to guess one move of Robert.
We'll have to put it in the books and commemorate it.
So knight h2, knight h2, rook h2, e5, and finally, after totally messing up, the pawn structure, he gets the best central control.
He just has a better position.
Yeah.
David's played this kind of passively.
Yeah, the strategy worked out. And also look at the time, 1 hour 34 minutes. How does he achieve this, getting this complete central control, having this beautiful rook left, having those nice bishops, and with that also having like all the time on the clock. Just a dream scenario for any player. Then he develops the bishop for no good reason. And I told you, if I was gonna come. This is not, castling is not just happening. There's just no way this castling is gonna take place here. And now a4, yeah? No, he takes the pawn, knight b4, king b1, and just, you don't need to just take this pawn, guys. Just attack the king. That's the way. This is how you win game in like half an hour. So a3, and now probably some sacrifice, yeah? No, okay. So finally, he's not blundering pieces for obvious reasons. q1, ab3 allows bishop e5. But white is scared, not interested, and maybe would have captured here, just like the normal people would have. But you go c4, and probably we have some knight b4 or something. Yeah, knight b4. And bishop e5, rook a3, bishop b2. So bishop e5, how is going to react? He played rook a3 and won this game?
Yeah.
How is that possible on earth?
Yeah, bishop takes d6, bishop take. Whoa. Oh, or that, yeah.
You blunder, you give like 5 different options to win a piece or rook and whatsoever, and you still win this. And the bishop comes back. Yeah, he did not blunder knight a3. And queen a2, king c1, and then what?
Yeah.
So rook f6. So he's surviving on the edge. There's a bishop d5 coming here. Knight h7 check is there. Or simply you can also capture the knight or play king c1.
Now you say, whoa.
Rook.
Couldn't you have saved your rook?
So now we will figure out a way how to lose this. Okay, you blunder a piece. Yeah, and you get this captures back. Okay, no, not interested in rook e6. It's just a check.
This almost seems like a DTT boy. I can't believe these players are playing these moves.
No, 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 it's possible. I mean, if it's Robert's game, anything is possible.
Yeah, I guess he is threatening the bishop on c7 after queen takes g7.
Yeah, so he didn't go for that. And now we get the queen, we get a queen, we get a queen very soon. Look, that is what he will blender. No, he didn't blender. He played queen d2. He didn't blender a queen. Then how did he lose? He also could not find a perpetual because there's no rook e1, and the king would run probably. Yeah, there was just no need to give this check. Like, we would have just given this check and happily signed the piece. Full agreement over there. But no. Now he's gonna lose this. Bishop c3 is coming. Knight e2 is coming. That is why I love Robert and his games.
It's definitely entertaining.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
those are
so
full of
some advice
blunders.
for David would just be um to play a little bit more aggressively. Not saying he could have won a piece or anything, but just play a bit more aggressively against Robert's poor opening. Because if we go back to the opening here, I'm pulling it up on my screen as well.
Yeah.
Especially after move 6. I'm guessing, just guessing, the engine probably already evaluates this for like +1 probably for white, just because black's position, he's positionally so weak. I don't know.
Yeah. It's impossible to play moves like this. Like just exchanging queens, which Robert will hate.
Yeah,
He will not capture because, I mean, in game against Robert, his opponent has no right to sacrifice anything. And even if they do so, he's not going to accept them. So I think we just sacrifice guys against Robert. If you're playing against Robert, guys, just sacrifice. Just sacrifice. Don't give him chance to sacrifice. Be the first one to sacrifice and be the last one to sacrifice also.
yeah. I think, to
And
be fair, I think partly why Robert was able to get away with this win was because David's setup was naturally passive. He was putting his pawn on b3 and d3, and he fianchettoed both bishops, so it just took extra tempo. But if he had played something like e4, like an e4 pawn opening right away, I don't think Robert could have really gotten away with, c5, d5, e5, f5, h5.
absolutely, there was just nowhere. But still, in this position, like, the way he was playing, like, look, he played this, and then he was playing a4, and he just gave a piece here. Like, he just blended a piece here. So, and this was completely winning.
True, yeah.
So, and then knight b4 and bishop b5, and blundering this was terrible. Like this, like completely unacceptable. So you just need to calculate and finish this game off. Like, you cannot blunder this. And now, I mean, simply you should be winning this. Like, there's just no way that black is gonna win this. So you also got queen a5, queen a8 ideas over there. The king is stuck. There's just no way to defend. In my opinion, how do you defend this? The b7 would be hanging, and we don't even need this rook to win this game. I know the e1 is hanging, but who cares about e1? Like just happily capture this. No worries. This bishop is more important.
Yeah.
And anyway, he gave the rook, but no one captured it. And again, here he could have played something like rook e6 or something, just trying to bring all pieces. Like, looks like a good move. So the point is rook e6 to just capture and get queen g7, or you can start with queen g7 and queen g8, queen e6, everything hangs. And in case of bishop e6, we do have knight f7, knight f6 ideas, if not knight e6. So, I mean, such moves are possible. So we just need to calculate out a few things there, or just bring rook h1 instantly, and we get some bishop d5 or something like that to get the job done. But instead, or even something like rook e2 is also fine because it's just a threat, and you just go queen e5, and there's nothing out there. So there were many ways in which white could have won, or David could have won after getting a rook, but it was not his day. That's what I would say.
Yeah. David's is a good player though. He's improving. He's above 1800 last I checked, so just maybe an off game for him.
Yeah, possible. So let's jump to the next board. We have Andrew versus Firkus. Can you tell more about the players?
Yeah, let me see here. Actually, yeah, so Andrew McIntyre, I don't know how long he's been playing, but pretty much since I've been playing, I've seen him playing. So he's been playing a little while. Darren Furcus, that's a player, or Jared, however you say that. Excuse me if I mispronounced your name, but that's a player I'm not familiar with. I don't know how long they've been playing, but we'll see what their level is, I guess, from this game.
Sure. So, so the job is here. We are doing Castello for black player.
Yeah.
Knight f6, knight f3. Okay. So the opening is still grandmaster level. B3, b6. So we can. So how many points you will deduct here for black?
Well, if we're putting our top guess at 2837, which is Magnus's rating, I'm gonna deduct 900 points. This is someone 1900 or below, USCF.
Okay. Okay. So let's see. CD5, CD5, 94. And any deductions for this?
It's yeah. I mean, bishop b5 and knight c6 stuff looks good. So I think they're at least 1600 or below.
1600 or below. Okay, that's heavy deduction. Do get bishop b5 and knight d5, not knight c6, because okay. So I think we should increase some points for white for priming the f3.
Yeah. Yeah, Andrew, this is his FIDE rating, but Andrew's like 1600 USCF.
Okay. And there is no e6, guys. If you play e6, then you lose very badly here. The rook is hanging, king e7 lands into knight c6. So he needs to move the rook. So he understood the threat correctly, and now knight e5 is coming. That's pity. It's lost. So he must
He's
capture.
on 95. Okay, he gets some points.
Yeah. He's not below 1500 USCF, I guess. He's playing around 1500 or 1200. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe like 1200, 1300.
Okay. Wait, what he did here? He cannot castle. That's very sad. So he gave a check and then castled. Okay. Queen b8, bishop f4. Just game over, yeah. Okay, so your final guess.
My final guess, I'm actually going to bring it a little lower. I would have to guess. I'm going to go with 1150.
1150. That rating still exists in USCF? Like below 1400?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's only
I
for
remember.
FIDE.
The category is below 600 and below 800. Like that's crazy. That's really crazy. Like so yeah, I would say 1200, 1250.
Okay.
Okay, so I think let's keep it to the audience to decide, who won this.
Yeah.
So you're saying 1150, I'm saying 1250. Okay, let's go to the final board of the open section, which is on DGT. We have got some Charash, finally. And what they call it, not really Kole also. I call it lazy opening. You just do this and wait for your opponent to do something. 7 rook e1, knight g4. Now that's something impressive, some active play. And for s3, what you would play here?
Let me see here. In this
You have to play like
position,
Robert.
yeah, I mean, you have to save the pawns. Yeah, H3 looks good.
Okay, I just found one funny line. Okay, it's not good. I mean, it's not something, but just a fantasy for the audience. So guys, you can sacrifice like this. He cannot go here, so he goes here. And now the brilliant move queen g3. It's not working. Sad. I thought it is something. No, it's not working. Otherwise,
Oh yeah, because they have F2. I thought it worked too. Yeah.
so after watching Robert's game, guys, this could happen to you. So, but the point is, after S3, you can simply play H5 and just keep the attack going. And this is how you continue playing chess. So he goes at F1, which is a good move. You don't move your pawns to you avoid creating more weaknesses. Anyways, he goes H5 and plays long castle, which takes. This is a blunder. You should never capture this. I mean, he was banking on this knight on F1, but still, I don't know. Even if he doubles, what's okay, G3 probably, and for Bishop D6 also G3. So is
Yeah.
this working?
My gut tells me no, but it does look a little bit scary.
Rook at 7, and okay, I don't see like what do you do if you just black just captures on white just captures on G4? Like there's knight G3 coming next.
Yeah, yeah. You only need to guard H1.
Now I finally found a good line. So look at it. So rook at 8, knight G3, and the line starts with, how does it start? So I'm doing this H1 mate, and I have to sacrifice. Yeah. So I play bishop e3. Look at this. Now you don't capture this because this hangs, so you play this, and now we have got rook h1. Knight h1, and now queen h2, and finally this is a mate.
There we go. Yeah, yeah. Do you want to show them why taking on G4 and then taking on and then trying rook H1, sacking the rook doesn't work?
Yeah, because bishop g4, guess now if you try to do the same tactic, the king runs away from e2 square. And that's the
Yeah.
problem. So you have to give the bughouse treatment here. You need to cover those squares. And you need to eliminate this knight, but not by capturing it, but by offering the other bishop and threatening queen g3. And now you cannot move the knight because it's a mate anyways. So now you need to prevent queen g3. So you have to capture knight e3, and now this rook h1. And again, don't play queen g3 and blunder your queen, because then the king would run from f2. So you have to play rook h1, and then you get the brilliancy prize. So rook h7. And that's why, guys, he played bishop g4, because he wanted to make some space for the king. Rook h8, g3, g3, and we don't have any sacrifice yet. Bishop e4, preparing for something here, here, or here. Probably knight e5 as well. Yeah, knight e5 comes in. And okay, white is probably winning objectively, but still it's scary for white as there are some threats. So he captures the knight and goes knight g4. No. It should be not. You should not be going there. Just bring the queen, and
Yeah.
he'll be all right. But instead he goes knight g4, allows queen h5. Probably thought he have knight 1 h2, but missed f5 or something. I don't know what exactly he missed, but probably same thing.
Um,
And now he tries to run away with the king, but that's not gonna work. I can see the queen hangs. Queen is hanging. So probably this was simple. You just take knight g4, you have got check. And if he goes down, it's a mate. If he goes there, you have got check, and it's resignable. But instead, he goes for something which is not so common. Queen f3, he goes for a piece instead of a queen, and that also gets defended. Wow. So, but queen g2 probably, and yeah, he gets away with the piece down position. And this is okay. So the shortest way here is, guys, you just do a small flex, the capture, and you play g3. So this is how you can win quickly.
that's a good tactic.
So bishop h4, and he's thinking now. G3 is the most obvious move, and this is the only possible blunder you could make in this position. So let's see what
Yeah.
we see.
Daryl had well, he was just up a piece, so he was definitely winning. The attack was scary, but it wasn't quite decisive. But he probably panicked, and it looks like he's pretty low on time. So maybe those two things kind of put together caused him to not even just blunder back the piece, but ultimately blunder the game away. But so it looks like Carlos will take this one. He's just up a piece, and he has 30 minutes, so no time trouble for him. But um, I'm sure Dale will be back stronger next month.
Yeah. So let's go back to the other live boards. We already reviewed these games. We have got two more games going on. And Babcock Thomas is playing against Jacob. And the bishop looks quite strong. Left it around here when we had bishop on e6. And we discussed that white might put bishop on d5, which he did. And now is simply probably putting some pressure over here, capturing. And goes king h1, removing the king from the pin. And now rook d1 probably at some rook f1 probably, and trying to make double. Takes, and the problem is now if you play c5, then you also open the rook. And if you play rook f1, there's a rook f8. But then you have got rook f8, and he cannot play rook f8 because bishop would be hanging. So king f8, and you still have chance to enter with the rook. So he played rook f8, but the problem probably is rook d7. And now maybe he's eyeing at some a4, a5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Looks equal to me.
Yeah, I agree. Jacob will have to be a little careful with his time. Thankfully, it's not the position isn't too complicated, so he should be all right. But he does have 15 less minutes than Thomas.
Yeah, that could be a factor here. So let's go to the game of our profile player here, John, playing against Norman Myrin. And how did Black blunder a piece? Like, how did he lose a knight?
Yeah, I have no idea. When I left it off, it was still equal. Norm was putting pressure, but it was equal.
Yeah, so h5, fine. Look, h4, g6. No, what kind of sacrifice of blunder you call it?
I call it I think he must have just. But how could you forget the bishop was there? Because the bishop was there the whole game. I don't know. That can't be a DGT board error. I'm guessing he
And
played it, but it's a pretty bad blunder.
I think it's just a bad day at office.
Yeah.
So it's going to be win for John here. So we have okay, he did manage to do a checkmate. Let's see how did he finish this game off. So we left it around here, b4, knight c, king c4 he did play. Then he goes rook to h4. And probably now this is coming. And rook
And
c4.
yeah, and if you're Connor, you probably have to take now. You finally just have to take that knight.
Yeah. But okay, he didn't want to take that knight. He even goes king b2 to make sure that there's no king b3 coming in. And probably that is what he missed. And now we can see a simple checkmate happening. And okay, bishop c5, simply he can capture rook takes bishop. And it's winning. So well done. Dane finally managed to checkmate your opponent. That's pretty impressive.
And yeah, I think a takeaway from Connor from that game was he kind of played a subpar opening. His early c5 kind of came back to bite him because ever since the opening, Dane was the one pushing. Because we had d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, d5, bishop g5, bishop e7, or this was all normal, e3, c5. So on move 5, Connor kind of made a little bit of a dubious move, and I think Dane handled it pretty well.
Yeah.
And Connor never got his king castled, and eventually it died on uh
But
died
I
on
think he was prepared for c5. Like he played it instantly, and then he also played queen f5. So I think he
yeah,
was
it's
kind
hard to
of
tell.
prepared, but I think bad preparation. Or this was really great. I mean, he just saved a pawn like by king 24. That was nice. Or maybe would have gone king to c6.
I think what's maybe most impressive is that Dane played the pretty much the best moves here, or at least good moves, and still didn't use much time. Like even here, he still has 70 minutes out of his 90, and he had to calculate a little bit some of those lines. So I think that's just good play from Dane.
Yeah, and this was his last chance. I think Connor could have played this night before, and this was the last chance to strike. And after this, he has got some chances in the end game. Okay, white is still up a pawn, but rook end games they do give you a chance to make a draw or to survive somehow. So maybe you could have tried rook g5 and try to survive this end game. And maybe rook d1 and still it's white feels clearly better. But he could have tried something like this or the other way somehow. I don't know. Maybe b5, just trying to complicate stuff and trying to trade something. So, or maybe capture because rook d7 was annoying, and just try to survive this if you could somehow. All right, so that was it from board 2, and now we have this game probably is winning for white. So let's stick to this interesting endgame where we have some updates: rook f8, capture, captures, and king g1. Probably king coming like this, and hoping for black to capture the bishop at some point to have some chances.
Hmm.
And black might be getting his king through the silk route, e7, d6, e5.
Hmm.
So I was just wondering if black wants to play this for win, what can he try? Like bishop basically c7 is one idea for sure,
Yeah.
and trying to put the king somehow here and try to gain some do something through this pawns. But first, I think he should be going bishop a6.
Yeah. For our um for our viewers who are more inexperienced viewers, White has something called pawn islands. He has 4 pawn islands actually. So that's why me and Nubair are kind of saying that maybe if anyone's better, it should still be a draw. But if anyone's better, it might be black because White's c4 pawn is a little weak because he doesn't have a buddy. He doesn't have a pawn to protect him.
Absolutely. Should be pretty cool. Like the king just goes, as I said, he goes to d3 and it's close enough to draw because the bishop is quite powerful. But again, if you could manage to create the second weakness on the king side, or if you could get the rook to f8 and something like f2, then some chances are there. So let's see who's playing for win. By the way, what's the rating of Jacob?
Jacob is another improving player. His rating has increased a lot lately. He's around no, he actually I think recently hit I want to say 1800. So he's around 1800, I believe.
So probably he needs to take care of the time, otherwise that could be deciding factor. Like, I mean, if black just chills out after a king h3, maybe white will just try to push the pawn. And that's the last hope or the plan for white in this position.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he needs to play further. It's more important here to play faster.
Yeah, and the moves aren't too complicated, so Jacob should definitely speed up a little.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the chat. We have got 9 people watching this.
Yeah,
Uh,
I kind of always monitor it a little bit. We have Eddie in the chat. That's Jack Wally. We had Johnny in the chat. He unfortunately had to go, but
yeah. So, hello guys. You can ask me anything in the chat. I'm here to answer you.
yeah, take advantage of that, guys, because You don't always have access to international masters. Usually you have to pay if you want advice from an international masters. It's called lessons. So take advantage of being able to ask a question now. And usually, let's see, yeah, Jordan's game. I'm assuming Jordan's game is still going. Like Jordan's game was the DGT era, but usually Jordan is in chat. So, but I haven't seen him
Yeah,
in chat tonight. So that's why I think maybe he's still playing, but we won't know.
yeah. So probably this is uh, also ending here. And okay, so I think this is the only game where we should be. But this is also up a piece for white, so winning. So what do you think? What you will play? Will you play bishop a6 or just king e7 or something like that?
Um, I think he'll play King E7, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Dale and um Juan Carlos game, it did finish in a win for Carlos, as we expected. Um, he was up to piece. Dale was up to piece, but then Carlos was able to win back two pieces and use his whip, bishop, and pawn on the king side to overwhelm Daryl. So Carlos wins that one. So congratulations to him. But on this board that we're currently looking at, we still have Thomas and Jacob battling it out. And Jacob did play, but he spent some more time on King E7. I would have liked to have seen him play that move a bit quicker. It's a good move. It's a good move, but I don't see why you couldn't have played it maybe like 2 minutes ago or something. Maybe he's always worried about bishop trades, just because obviously that's one of the things you always need to spend a lot of time on in chess is any trades, any changes in structure, and anything regarding king safety. Because as I've said before, that's the stuff you can't take back. So you need to spend time on that. But if you spend too much time, you'll have 30 seconds left.
Down to 4 minutes now.
Yeah.
So we have a question: bishop or a knight? So basically, Chris is asking which piece is better, right?
Yeah.
So well, in general, it's a bishop, but overall, it depends upon the position. So let's say we have got this position, and imagine there's a knight on c5. So I would go with a knight because I can see there are holes in white's position and it's a lot of weaknesses. But let's say if the structure is good or it's open position with this files open. I'm saying files, not diagonals. I repeat. So these files are open. Let's say if there are no pawns in like these three or these four files, then it's bishop, because then the bishops are more powerful. They have got more access. They could do more damages. So into like to sum up, I'll say open positions bishop and closed positions knight.
Yeah.
So we did capture on d5, which is not a good idea, because now you allow connected pawns. Like they were previously a weakness, like isolated pawns. You would have simply gone like this or brought your king to c5 or h4 like directions. But instead you capture now, and now white improves the pawn structure. You do have rook c7 like stuff, but still they should not allow a connected pass pawn. king here, probably king d6, king d3, and a6. There is a4. Probably there is a e4 as well, but still gives chances to white.
Yeah, I don't really like that decision from Jacob either, because not only does it give white that pass pawn, but it also makes it easier for white to target the e5 pawn with his rook.
Yeah. So now I think Michael, it's for you, e4 or d4.
Oh, did he ask me a question?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to go with e4
If,
because I used to play d4 a lot, but then I got tired of it and I started playing e4 now for I've been playing it for like a year straight now. It was my childhood opening, but then I'd stopped playing it. But now I took it up again, and I just like tactical positions, so I would have to go with e4.
okay.
What about you, Nubair?
I'll go with c4
c4,
because
okay.
e4 and d4 is, which everyone plays it and it's slow explode, and we know that, whether you play e4, d4, or even f4, it's 0.00. So it hardly matters. So I think I'll go with the center control. As long as you're having center control, life is good. So
Yeah,
eventually, you have to get the center control. So yeah,
that's a good move from Jacob and a very important move because you couldn't let your opponent take control of the file.
yeah. But yes, definitely e4 is the move for like more tactical players and players who wants to play in open games. They should be playing e4. And uh, uh, if you are starting out playing chess, I think you should be playing e4, because then you understand, how the attacks could come quickly, and you understand attacks, defense fast. And because if you play d4 or c4 like moves, or knight f3 like ready type positions, then it's a slow game or a semi-close game, if not a close game. So you don't learn much there. Like the moves are like happening slowly at slow pace. So I think if you're learning out chess, I think you should be starting with e4 and not any kind of a London system. So folks, if you're new to the chess, play e4, explore chess, and then you learn a lot of things. Then you can shift to d4, c4, or e4 as per your preference. But if you are starting out chess, then you must play e4, like Bobby Fischer.
Yeah, no, yeah, play what you're naturally good at. If you're a tactical player, yeah, play e4. If you're more positional, play d4 or c4. But as you progress, as you want to become a better chess player, obviously you need to be well-rounded, so study both. But yeah,
So now king e4 looks a bit scary. Like if you play king c4, the rook c1, and king will be like cut off, and then we will have Lucena very soon. And in endgame, you don't need a pawn or something. You just need a pass pawn to win it. And here, if black blunders, then yeah, there are some chances. So king a4 again, he has to go back, and then probably can try to create a a4 a5 and some like eventually some weakness over there. Try to get connected pawns or some sacrifice. Okay, black do have some counter play in case of a4. He can go rook c7, try to attack this pawn, or try to go behind and do some checks. So, but okay, I think Thomas has to play king e4 quickly. There's no other way. Oh, come on.
oh
You play,
no,
and you cannot play this move on Earth. And now even b5 is there. Like simply trading off the pawns and the danger, eliminating the eventual danger. But maybe there's some trick b5. Maybe he can go king e4, and that's what he wants. Because king e4, it was so obvious that he will go back. So maybe he's cooking something over there.
good point.
And Jacob is down to 3 minutes, so this is the right time to experiment or cook something.
And Chris made a good point in chat. He said that it looks like Jacob moved to the Premier. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Uh-huh.
Jacob is now playing on what's this board? This even board 4 they're showing. So congrats to Jacob for moving up from the Open to the Premier.
Yeah, I like the way Chris says. play the driest lines, against e4, and actually the dry lines are trending. So the line which you just mentioned, like bishop e2 against Nasrov, it's been played by Gukesh. I mean, at many times in like recent events. Like
Mm,
if I'm not wrong, he played this against Najibek or someone at the one of the recently held events,
mm.
and it's fine. Even Magnus plays the dry lines against Sicilians these days, or even for whole of his life. I've not seen Magnus checkmating his opponent Sicilian. He's always damaging the pawn structure and going for some endgame. So you can also play like that in that fashion. So now the question is, will black play b5 or just try to go slowly with a6 b5?
But yeah, I definitely think the critical line is the one you mentioned, b5, king e4, and then black. That looks scary for black.
I don't know who's winning there because king e5 is rook e7 check. Looks
Mm.
scary for white actually, because if you go up, there's a rook e3, and if you go down, then black just up
Oh,
a
good
pawn.
point. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think black should try b5 if you can calculate. And okay, just it will be a draw after takes king d5 or something like that. And okay, this is just a draw or drawish. So e4 coming in. I will somehow chances for black only. So I think black should try d5.
Yeah, now as white, we just probably play something like a4.
Mm, yeah, possible. A4, a5.
Maybe we should take a peek. I think is there any other game? It looks like, yeah, I guess this is the final game that's currently going that's still in doubt because we still have Norm Myron playing John, but John is simply up a piece, so I expect him to win that one.
Yeah. So now it's just liquidated into the king pawn endgame. They have exchanged pieces. This definitely helps white to finish off the game quickly. And yes, this is going to be a clear win for John now. So no upset here. But yes, here I think anything is possible, and I want to see. I think there's some more fun left in this game. No matter how dry is the position, Jacob's 2 minutes on the clock will make it spicy. Rook b1, king c5. Oh, wait. Are they going for a repetition here? Like the last moves were like, look, so they played this, rook c1, king here, rook here, and king c5. Now if he plays rook c1, they can literally sign off this quotient.
Oh yeah, maybe they are just going for the draw.
I don't think so. Like with 1970 rating and 20 minutes on the clock, he can play king e4.
Yeah, he shouldn't, but yeah.
Oh no, it's going to be the end. Because I don't see black not, but no reason like why black will not repeat this.
Yeah. And I still go back to, um, well, I guess maybe what he was worried about is, I think we were both mentioning king e4 at some point, like maybe on move like 38 for white,
Mm-hmm.
like king e4. But I guess what he was worried about probably was then rook f2 is possible. Maybe that's what he was worried about.
Yeah, so king e4, rook f2 is a possibility, and now this check is coming. And now he has to go all out probably and try to win those pawns. So I don't know, probably rook a2 correct?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe g4, g5 to start with. Again, but rook a3 is annoying. Maybe you are right. Maybe rook d1, and this makes some sense.
Yeah, that's really scary for black because white's just so much faster.
Yeah, but a check and probably block, and then
True.
probably some again repetition like this. Yeah, still looks scary for white only because rook b5 is a king c4 and take. Should be
Yeah.
draw. But yeah, so he didn't want to risk it, so they have repeated several times, but looks like no one is claiming a draw here.
Hmm. Yeah, still um oh there we
Finally,
go.
yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Well, a pretty fair result considering that it was topsy-turvy, but no side could ever really no side could ever really do too much there. It's just a kind of a locked position. The bishops were staring at each other, and Thomas decided not to go into a line he could have taken advantage of Jacob's time, but he decided not to, so game ended in a draw.
Yeah, absolutely. And so probably, so let's give shout out to the results. I think we have seen all the games,
Hmm.
and we do have John. I'm playing, but okay, we'll come to it later. So I think, do you have any update about the top board, Jordan versus Nathan?
Yeah, I had just looked, went to the Castle website and went to the DGT games to see if they updated
Mhm.
it, but it hadn't been updated, unfortunately.
Okay, so that remains a mystery. What happens on top board? We'll come to know next week if you're not at the club. On the board two, I think Dan Zager played a very nice game to beat Weathery Connor. On board three, it was what shall I say? I mean, Bromer just did a suicide, allowing knight of seven, and then playing it fast, and he just got checkmated in the middle of the board. And he designed at this position with almost all the time on the clock, and still Eddie used his all the time, though he was completely winning. He won all his time to get the best possible moves, so he won. Then we go to the next board where we had a long fighting draw between Thomas and Jacob. We have John playing here, almost winning in two moves. And then we have got Robert winning this dramatic game against David with black pieces, starting with touch defense and then going into some weird development and getting a complete center control and control of the game just to lose after a few more moves. And so much of drama, the best game entertainment wise. And it was a one-sided probably for Andrew McIntyre, who started a game with a nice opening ideas and um, Freakish lost some points for B6. And yes, Daryl Bimberg lost to Perez, Juan Carlos
Hmm.
on the last board of open
Yeah.
section.
A lot of interesting games tonight. I'd probably agree though if the most entertaining was Robert versus David's. If I had to pick a most accurate game, obviously we don't know what happened to Jordan and Nathan, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do about that. We'll just have to find out next week, like you said. But if I had to pick a most accurate game, I would probably go with I'd actually definitely go with Dane. Or well, Eddie's up there too. It's
Uh,
definitely
I
between Dane and Eddie.
I would go with Darren versus Connor because okay, this game was nice, but I think it was all credit goes to John. But in Dan's game, on the credit goes to Dan. So I would, if I want to select one game, I'll go with Dan because that was more meaningful and more clean compared to. I mean, because there was no match in like 80 versus John. It was like just like one sided and okay. If you ask me the best sacrifice, yes, I would go with then Eddie like for Tal like sacrifice. But if you want ask me a clean game, then yeah, then I'll go with only Dan. And I like this King Hunt.
True. Yeah. No, definitely. Dane's opponent put up more resistance than Eddie. So yeah, I would agree.
And we have a result. John has won against Norman Marin.
Yeah. So congrats to John, our featured player, for picking up the win.
Uh-huh.
And that concludes actually all the games from Thursday nighter.
Yeah.
Before before we wrap up here, there's just a couple quick announcements as always before we sign out for the night. Um, as always, this stream is sponsored by Chess Goals. They're simple chess courses for non-grandmasters. You can learn complete repertoires in under 100 lines, and that's headed up by local national master Matt Jensen. So go to chessgoals.com, which is his website. Use the coupon code CASTLE to save 30% on some of his courses. And then there's also this Chess Castle Discord that you should check out. Um, I haven't announced it before, but it's there in the description for you guys to see. So make sure to go to our Discord page and sign up, and you can connect with other members, and you can kind of provide feedback on the broadcast. And then last but not least, we excitingly have a new sponsor for the stream. Pretty excited to announce this, but it's Webeccentric.com. You can use the discount code CASTLE for 15% off. Webeccentric is empowering small businesses and startups through tailored digital solutions. Webeccentric specializes in custom web development, cloud solutions, and digital strategy for small businesses. With over 25 years of experience, Webeccentric brings enterprise-level expertise to businesses of all sizes. We're here to help. Reach us at webeccentric.com and shop with us at shop.webeccentric.com. So actually, if you take a look at the shirt I'm wearing right here, this is actually a shirt. It's a Scandinavian shirt, um, E4D5. And if you go to that website, the merch store, shop.webeccentric, you can get the same shirt. So make sure to check that out. And you can thank Johnny Harby. He's the one who um, heads up that store and the Webeccentric platform. So excited to announce that. And unless Nubair has any closing remarks, I think that's it for round two.
Yeah, that's great to have a new sponsor supporting chess and also who is um, for making chess much. It's really, really great. So guys, do check out. And once again, thanks you for sponsoring the event and supporting the stream and the club. Thank you so much for joining in. See